Good morning, everyone, and a pleasant morning, Ma'am Kabug. Today, we are going to tackle about disaster management and safety premise. But before we proceed to our discussion, let us first refresh our mind of what is a disaster. As you all know, a disaster is a destructive event that occurs suddenly and involves loss of life and property. So any destructive event nga makakause og daghang injury is called a disaster. Dayon naatay two types of disaster: the natural and man-made disaster. Kabalo na jud ta ani mga earthquakes, volcanic activity, tsunamis, floods, cyclones, landslides, avalanches, droughts are natural disasters. And man-made disasters are composed of war, viruses, pollution, and fire. Okay. And when we say disaster management, it is how we deal with destructive event to lessen or reduce the impact sa atoang life o properties. Disaster management. When studying tourism and disaster, it considers continuum. So unsa di ay ni continuum? Ang continuum is something that keeps on going and changing slowly over time. Kay di ba ang disaster not just happens once, di man pwede na mo-stop na ka og conduct sa mga preventive measures after mahitabo ang isa ka disaster. Kay tungod naapay uban nga mosunod na possibly mas worse pa nga disaster. All the stakeholders work together, and kining mga stakeholders no kay we have the private sectors, government, community, business, and also the tourists, and they work together to reduce the risk of disasters and integrates the plans to respond and recover. When a disaster strikes, these agencies come together to provide relief, identify the mortalities, also provide shelter and medical assistance. When we say management man good, dapat na adjud nay plano beforehand nga gibuhat aron if maabot ang disaster kay prepared permi ug kining imuhang mga stakeholders kay ma-save og dili mga matay. Okay. Tourism and hospitality are business that means resilience and rapid recovery and gaining back a reputation. And these were all according to Gordon 2015. Preparing and responding to natural disasters. Natural disasters can be predicted such as typhoons and tsunamis except for earthquakes. Despite advances in technology, there is no device that can prevent this disaster to happen, especially sa earthquake. Because a disaster is inevitable. Dili nato malikayan nga mahitabo, pero ma-reduce nato ang damage if kabalo ta mo respond appropriately ug naatay gitawag nga preparation. Sa earthquake, dili nato ma-predict when to happen kay ang seismograph only records seismic waves kung unsa ka destructive or unsa ka kusog ang linog. Unlike sa typhoon na ma-record ang movement o iyahang galaw sa bagyo kung aha padulong or maglandfall, maong naatay matan-aw nga news dito sa TV. Okay. Observation and data are the most effective tools in predicting a natural disaster. Another way to predict natural disaster is constant surveillance. Scientists have been observing these destructive events for many years and gathering data. They also analyze past disasters and find a pattern in natural phenomena. In this way, they give us warning of future events. Another way pod is using offshore cameras in prone areas to monitor the winds, waves, oceans, currents, and weather patterns. Predictions can be calculated. O sa pamaagi ani, immediate response and recovery teams work together to lessen the effect on people and affected places. Okay, preparation before a disaster to happen. First is to perform a risk assessment. In this step, of course, we identify hazard that is vulnerable to disaster like floods. Dapat kabalo ta ahadapit ang safe o dangerous places, especially if na ay disaster. Second is conducting a disaster preparedness training. So diri atong i-train ang atong employees on how to prepare and respond appropriately to disaster, especially kung naay sunog. Aron po dili magtanga during a disaster. Lastly, develop a disaster response with the community, not just employees but also the whole community. It involves pre-positioning of relief supplies, community task force who have proper training in disaster management such as search and rescue and the basic first aid kit. And also ang evacuation center, dapat kabalo na ang mga tao within the community aha mo adto. Okay. At the phase of emergency. Number 1, coordinate with the stakeholders. Number 2, provide necessities like water, food, first aid kit, communication devices like full charge cell phones, power bank, whistles during the first 48 hours. And lastly, number 3, conduct a rapid assessment of the damage to identify the immediate response for the most critical needs and preferences for assistance.
Earthquake. Earthquake is known as tremor, quake, or trembler, a sudden movement of the surface of the earth. So, we are all familiar about earthquake. Kung sa Bisaya pa, mo ni siya ang murag kalit-kalit nga paglihok sa earth nga kining nga atong mabatian. Familiar naman tani dili na no need na nga mga further explanation about ani kay walay tawo siguro nga walay nakaila og earthquake. Types of earthquake. So there are two types of earthquake. Number 1 is the tectonic quake and the volcanic quake. Tectonic quake is created by a sudden movement along the faults and plate boundaries. So kining tectonic quake mo ni siya ang pagbangga sa lithosphere mga mag-collide silang duha nga mo na din siya mag-result og earthquake. Then ang number 2 is volcanic earthquake, induced by rising lava or magma beneath active volcanoes. Ang volcanic quake mo ni siya ang murag natural phenomena ni siya nga matawag kay kuan siya sa nature bitaw nga sa pagbuto sa volcan. Earthquake monitoring system. Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or the PHIVOLCS, is a service institute under the Department of Science and Technology, or the DOST, accountable to monitor and mitigate disaster that may occur from earthquakes, volcanic eruption, tsunami, and other related geotectonic phenomena. At present, PHIVOLCS operates 101 seismic monitoring station in the Philippine PHIVOLCS 2019. Magnitude and intensity. Magnitude and intensity measure different characteristics of the earthquake. Magnitude measures the amount of energy released at the source of the earthquake. Intensity measures the strong vibration or shaking generated by the earthquake at a certain area. So, earthquake monitoring system. Muna siya ang sila ang mag-monitor sa place like kung naabay mo abutay nga earthquake, mga other phenomena nga moabutay. Ano siya? Saan marami? Phivox, earthquake
Bulol bitaw.
intensity scale. So, intensity. Very minor, barely noticeable. Effects on people. So, ang effects ani sa people is felt only by a few people at rest vibrates slightly. So, mo ni siya kanang murag kana bitong hinay ra kaayo nga kuan murag nakafeel ra kag something uyog, murag ra kag nakabati og kalipong murag ana ra kalit-kalit lang siya. Effects indoors. Balanced objects are disrupted minimality. Effects to the outdoors. Water and container moves back and forth slowly. So, dili na nako kay ni siya explain kay masabtan raman siya diari sa gihatag nga meaning sa kuan. Minor slightly felt by the majority of people, some awakened from sleeping. Wala siya na experience na siya mostly sa mga tawo nga gikan natulog dining kalitra og uyog ang ato ang pamati. Mo na dayto ang linog. Mo na gid dayon. Hala unsa to? Then effects to indoors is hanging lamps and objects swing slightly. Kanang mga suga, mga nakahanger dara makita nato nga naguyog-uyog. Then effects to outdoors is that standing vehicles vibrate slightly, similar to being passed by a truck but only last for a short time. Morning diri sa outdoors, ang akong nasabtan ani is like when kanang mag-drive bitaw, like ma-feel manggod na sa kuan kanang mag-drive ka og motor dayon or something say explain ani
Depende raman siguro kung mag-drive ka motor yan mag-aircraft depende raman.
mostly manggod kay ma-feel jud nimo basta
Kung busog na kayo siya.
basta kusog na kay siya. Then mura bitaw kag na siya kay murag feeling nimo anak kay murag naa kay ka enkwentro nga dagko kayo nga you know. Then light week felt by the nearly everyone. A few frightened, dizziness experienced by some people. So kining sa light week murag makabati na jud tag kahadlok ani. Nana dire ato murag mataranta nata kay hala galinog unsa to. Aka makabati jud kag ingon ana. Then ang sa indoors pod, building shake. Nana dire ang mabatian na nato nga ang atong palibot, ang ato ang puy-an nga atong stayhan nga building murag nanagid siya something nga impact nga di na gid siya normal. Vibration is feel especially on the upper floors of building. Dayon sa effects outdoors, standing vehicles vibrate obviously. Electric wires away gently. Water and container oscillates moderately. Moderately strong. Kini, diri na ta sa strong. Katong una light week pa karon diri na ta sa moderately strong. Many people are awakened from their sleep in quiet fright and looking for sail shelter. Muni siya diri kanang ningkalit kag kamata nga nakabati kag lahi nga pag-uyog na bitaw kanang hadlok na jud siya mangita na jud kag kataguan. Like imo nang i-perform na dayon ang kuan ang duck cover and hold. Pero siya, wa ning hold nimo. Effects indoors. Building shake noticeably, floors and walls squeak. Unsteady objects fall heavy. Furniture moves may cause slight damage. O mao na ni, di ari na magsugod ang kuan makakita na ka nga murag si tawag ani kanang mga bugat na nga mga butang ihan ng matandog. Dayon sa effects outdoors, felt by drivers, electric wires sway obviously felt by people. Walking, rumbling sounds can sometimes be heard. Are, na kay madungog nga hadlok nga tingog pamaagi sa linog. Actually, murag na experience ni nato way back year 2021, like adtong mga nagsunod-sunod nga mga linog nga mga pandemic nga mga panahon nga murag astagi sa inyong atop murag naay ming lagubo. Mo to siya effect sa linog. The next, para di na kayo mo taas nga discussion, basahon na lang nako ni kay masabtan naman din ni siya. Kay naka-explain naman gini siya halos diri tanan. Next, the strong. Most people are considerably frightened. Effects indoors, damage to some buildings. Walls crack, heavy furniture may overturn, hanging objects swing violently. The effects of outdoors is noticeably felt by drivers, water spills from an open containers, shaking trees, and electric posts are noticeable. Very strong. Ito sa very strong. People have trouble walking due to violent rocking. Many try to run outdoor and find a secure place. The indoors na pod is damage to some buildings, heavy furniture overturns doors and windows bend. The outdoors, drivers have trouble steering, sand and clay blast occur. Destructive. Dito sa destructive. Grabe na gining destructive jud. People move with difficulty due to severe rocking. Then sa indoors pod, severe damage to or collapse of some buildings. Almost all furniture moves or falls down. The outdoors pod is landslides and faults rupture occur. Railway track bend, underground lines break. Very destructive. People panic and find it difficult to stand both indoor and outdoor. Effects to indoors, some building collapse and damage. Effect outdoors. Bridges, railway tracks are destroyed, electric posts, towers may collapse. Devastating. Devastating. People are forcibly thrown to the ground. Many cry and shake with fear. Kini kay grabe na gid kay ni diri kay mukuha na ni siya kanang makaharm na gid siya tawo. Grabe na gid kayo. Pwede na ni siya mupatay og tawo. Dayon sa indoors, water sewer pipes are bent, twisted, or broken. Kaguba na gyud. Effects outdoors. Bridges, concrete structures, and destroyed numerous utility posts collapse. Mga putol na. Muna ni diri. Diri na gyud nimo mahibaw-an kay kinahanglan na nimong putlon ang tanan. Charot. Diri sa completely devastating. Great number of mortality. All man-made structures are completely destroyed. Then sa outdoors is massive landslides and liquefaction. Next is the preparedness before earthquake. Safety, secure hanging objects to the wall or ceiling. Learn to deactivate gas, water, and electricity. Secure heavy furnishing. Do not position heavy objects on high shelves. Examine the fire system regularly. What to do during the earthquake? Apply drop, cover, and hold. Muna ni siya. Very common. Then pangkaduha, stay calm and do not panic. Shut off electricity, gas, and water tap. Then protect self from falling object. Ato jung protektahan ang ato ang kaugalingon sa mga mahulog nga butang nga makasakit sa ato Kay dili lalim ang mahulog. Joke. Do not attempt to run out of the building. So mo gani na kung paminaw nato nga di na maayo nga idagan pa, pundo na lang ka kung asa kagikan. Naka-apply ka anang mga angay nga i-apply. Then, number 6, never use an elevator during the earthquake. Ayaw, Jude. Ayaw, kay masisira gid talaga ang buhay mo. Di ka talaga maliligtas dyan. Then, what to do after the earthquake? So, unsay buhaton nato after the earthquake? So, mag-relax-relax ba ta? Dili ta angay mag-relax. Kay nga no, wa man ta kabalo, basig na pa di ay second emotion ani. Murag siya ba, abi ni mo okay na. Aw, joke na daay. Naghugot na po si ante. Number 1, assist the people around that are hurt and provide necessary first aid treatment. Moni, kitang mga tawo nga kabalo ta nga naay mga tabangonon diha kay naapektuhan sa grabe nga kakusog nga earthquake. Aw tabangan natong panambal oy. Nasakitan man sila atong tambalan. Number 2, monitor the disaster reports and pay attention to the emergency instruction. Kinahanglan ginato i-monitor ang mga reports, mga kuan sa mga balita-balita dira, ang mga emergency instruction kay mao lagi na akong giingon na apay music and emotion ani. Wa ta kabalo, di man gud na matag na ang tanan. Number 3, wear sturdy shoes or wear boots to avoid injury caused by broken window, glass, and other sharp objects. So, dili ta magpataka og kuan, magsuot jud ta og shoes kay para sa atong safety, kay kanang mga nangabuak nga mga butang dira, like mga bintana nga nangabuak, mga unsa pa na diha nga pwede mabuak. Number 4, inspect the structure and condition of the building. Evacuate the building calmly and use stairs. Muna siya, inspect the structure and condition of the building. Atong lantawon, og okay pa ba siya punduhan, stayhan, og kung dili na gali, layas na tadira. Dapat, mahawa na gid ta. Ang kalima, go to the nearest high place and stay away from beaches and ports for tsunami warning. Oh, mo ni siya. Muagto ta sa mga lugar nga safety, mupalayo ta ng dagat kay ang kana mong dagat diha gin magsugod ang tanan. Ang kuan man gud sa earthquake basta mo kuan na siya og labaw nagkusog kaayo, ang iyang target is kana yung sa dagat gyud kay ang tsunami, ang tubig gid ang iyang unang target. Dayon, lastly, prepare to experience aftershock. Mo na niya akong giingon ganiha nga kinahanglan kining tanan nga nakakuan diri ato yung i-apply kay wa ta kabalo sig napay aftershock ani magsikan emotion paning earthquake kani. So maora to tanan ng report unta nasabtan ninyo. Akong gi-report mao na ni tanan. So, bahala nang ako ang uban kagrupo nga magpasabot sa inyo about aning amo ang topic. Ako nang hinaot nga unta ka mo nakasabot. Daghang salamat.
Have a nice day, everyone. I am June Blossom Esasil from BSHM1B. So I'll be the one to discuss on you guys about typhoon preparedness and response. But before that, let me show you a short video clip about one of the devastating typhoon happened in the Philippines.
It's one of the strongest tropical storms to hit the Philippines this year. Typhoon Rai left a trail of devastation across several parts of central and southern Philippines, including here, the tourist island of Siargao, with winds reaching 195 kilometers per hour before making landfall on Thursday. Several people have died, with the death toll climbing, mostly due to falling trees and drowning, while 300,000 nationals have been displaced by the disaster. The country's President Rodrigo Duterte is due to visit areas battered by the typhoon on Saturday to assess the extent of the damage, and his government is now tasked with trying to figure out how much it can raise for the disaster response.
So, number 1, prepare and plan for possible flooding. So, kinakailangan natin maging handa at magplano tayo sa posibleng pagbaha. Next, checking drainage to ensure no clogging. So, siguraduhin nating walang barado sa pamamagitan ng pagsusuri sa drainage system. Check pumps for draining water to prevent flooding. So, i-check natin yung mga bomba kung may umaagos ba na tubig upang maiwasan ang pagbaha. Number 2, prepare and plan for possible damage to some infrastructure caused by strong winds. So, we need to have a plan para sa posibleng pinsala sa ilang mga infrastruktura dulot ng malakas na hangin. Inspect ceilings and roof for possible damage when strong winds come. So, atong i-inspect ang atong mga kisame o ang atong bungbong para sa posibleng pinsala kapag dumating ang malakas na hangin. Check for a possible leak for the roof. So, atong i-check kung naabay posible nga tulo gikan sa ato. Number 3, prepare and plan for possible brownouts or power failure. So, we need to prepare ourselves sa posibleng brownout or power failure. Ensure the functionality of the generator. So atong isigurado ang pag-andar sa mga generator kung naaman gani. Ensure an adequate supply of functional flashlights. So we need to make sure nga sapat ang atong supply sa mga functional nga flashlight. Prepare radios for communication within the establishment. So we need to prepare also the radio para sa communication, especially sa mga tawo na sa sulod sa mga establishmento. Number 4 is prepare and plan for possible water shortage. So, mag-prepare po ta og mga plano sa posibleng kakulangan ng supply ng tubig. So, we need to magpundo tadaan og tubig para sa ato ang ibnon, clean water, and para sa ato ang gamiton pang adlaw-adlaw. Number 5 is prepare and plan for possible manpower shortage. So, dapat maging handa tayo at magbuhat po ta og plano kung sakaling magkaroon ng kakulangan sa mga empleyado o mga tauhan. Prepare for a scheme to ensure adequate manpower during typhoon. So, in case nga makulangan og mga tawo or trabahante, you need to prepare and magbuhat ka og mga plano. Prepare for an overtime scheme for staff before, during, and after typhoon. So, before, during, and after, mag-prepare jud ka og isa ka overtime nga plan para sa mga tauhan o trabahante para imo silang tudluan unsay mga plano nimo para iwas emergency. Number 6, prepare for possible manpower being stranded in the establishment. So, magiging handa tayo kung sakaling may mga stranded na empleyado sa facility. Prepare food for the staff who may be stranded in the establishment. So, we need to prepare food para sa mga empleyado na maaring ma-stranded sa mga establishmento. Prepare for lodging for the staff who may be stranded in the establishment. So, mag-prepare po ta para sa pwedeng matuluyan sa mga staff or tauhan na maaring ma-stranded sa establishmento. At dyan lamang po nagtatapos ang aking parte sa aming report. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig.
Good day everyone. I am Elgin Suera, and today I am going to tackle about responding to man-made disaster. Responding to fire. Fire in the workplace can be very destructive. If not controlled immediately, it would result in serious injuries and even death. Ang sunog dili lang makadistract, makahimo pakinig, kadaot o kamatayon kung dili nato ni maapula or mapatay dayon. Preventing fire from workplace. First, establish and carry out a program that will provide information to recognize and prevent the fire hazard. Second, ensure the employees have enough training in handling combustible and flammable material. Third, maintain safe housekeeping practices that prevent the risk of fire. And fourth, always maintain adequate fire extinguishers in the work area. General safety measures. The following are general safety measures in establishing and maintaining fire protection in the workplace. Do not store flammable matters within 10 feet of a building or other structures. Ensure to use only permitted containers for disposal and separation of combustible waste. Do not forget to always replace the cover. Always clear the area that firefighting equipment can pass through in case of fire. Do not stock combustible materials accumulated in any part of the work area. Dispose of combustible debris and scrap periodically at stack and pile materials in an ordered manner and use only approved containers and tanks for storage, handling, and transport of combustible and flame liquids. Judge. Responding to fire and other alarms. When establishing the nature of location of the alarm, it needs to examine that has triggered the alarm. This may be produced by a fire motion, smoke, heat, water, and gas. Emergency numbers should be posted in various locations throughout the building and near of the telephones. Make sure that emergency numbers are stored in the cell phones of each employee. When reporting the emergency response, the caller needs to do the following. State your name, position, and location. Bar attendant, duty manager, front office personnel. Say that you are reporting an emergency. Describe the nature of the emergency, fire, intruder, water, or gas. Provide the location of the emergency, floor, room, number, office. Listen carefully and be guided as the operator provides instructions. Provide information if people being trapped. Provide information and describe the condition of area. Provide information on the quickest and best possible entrance and approach, and do not hang up the phone until the emergency response told to do so. During emergency, someone is designated to meet the emergency response them into their arrival on scene. Whoever does this job must know where the emergency and the details about the emergency. He or she is able to quickly direct or lead the response them to the site of the emergency, and they are able to provide relevant information such as the site plans, the number of people in the building, layout of the property, the potential dangers, and the vulnerable group of people such as the elderly, children, babies, disabled, workers, and guests. In dealing with an emergency situation, follow the three golden rules. First, secure your safety area. So, sa ato ading gikuanan, dapat ato siyang siguradoon nga safety ang ato ang giadtuan. Second is contact emergency as soon as possible. So, kung naa naman kayo mga hitabo nga mga sunog-sunog, so dapat yun makontak dayon ta sa mga kanang hengtundan. The third is save lives first before the property. So, kung naa naman gani ang sunog, ayaw na baliki. Kung nakagawas na ka, ayaw nagbalik sa balay nga nasunog. Ayaw nagpaniguro sa kwarta-kwarta day. Kay basin magmapil ka kasunog. Immediate response means do not delay, do not overthink the situation, stay calm and do not panic, do not shout, do not run around, active alarms, restrict others to affected area, alerting occupants, remove people from danger, and provide basic first aid.
Hello everyone. Today I am going to tackle about responding to act of terrorism. So we have suspicious packages. Terrorism has many faces and forms today. Employees and staff must be knowledgeable of any suspicious and unattended packages around the area or a place it should not be. The appropriate sequence is as follows. Don't attempt to touch the package. As who is the owner of the package, notify the management and contact the local police or securities in the area. Suspicious packages could be delivered to your home or workplace, so it is good to practice to be vigilant or aware of what to do. So, for example, makadawat ka og package, samot na wala ka kabalo sa gikan, don't open it or shake it. Or, don't show it to others, okay? A bomb threat is a very rare situation. In circumstances, it could happen. To respond efficiently and effectively, that can be done. When a bomb threat is received through a phone call, here are some approaches that need to be done. Make sure the bomb threat checklist is near to the phone. Listen attentively and handle the call calmly. Have someone from the area listen in the conversation. Write down the call was made and check if there is a caller ID number. Bomb threat or suspicious items should always be taken seriously. How quickly and safely you react to a bomb threat could save lives, including your own. Okay.
The moment a bomb went off in the Afghan parliament building in Kabul on Monday morning. All members of parliament and journalists were evacuated to a safe location. An Interior Ministry spokesman said the attack began with a suicide car bomber striking near the entrance of the parliament building at around 10:30. Gunmen then attempted to storm the compound but were pushed back by security forces. Afghan police killed 7 attackers. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack. In a statement, the militant group said the parliament was, quote, under siege by martyrdom-seeking mujahideen, their description for suicide attackers. More than 30 civilians were wounded in the attack, including 5 women and 3 children.
Here are the key takeaways throughout the video. First, we have learned that a disaster is a phenomenon that can impede great damage or loss of lives. We also have been taught that a disaster is inevitable but the potential damage can be minimized. We have understood that a disaster is caused by a natural catastrophe like typhoon, earthquake, floods, and tsunami, and can be a human instigation like terrorism, transportation accident, fire, virus, and pollution. We have been educated that a disaster management is an approach to organize and manage resources, delegating responsibilities in emergency situations, and that this includes preparedness, response, and recovery. We found out that earthquake is a sudden movement on the surface of the earth. We have been made aware that fire is a very destructive man-made disaster that could result in serious injuries, loss of properties, and even death if not controlled immediately. And lastly, we have grasped that the act of terrorism has many forms, and that employees should have the proper training to appropriately respond to this kind of undesirable situation. And that's all for this video. I hope you all have learned and acquired something new. And thank you for listening.